Megan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Megan's one that likes these meetings, extra meetings. I mean, it's her idea.
Ringing me.
Well, I mean, yeah, you tell her. There she comes. There she is.
And she dragging.
Okay.
Swag.
Somebody got to bring up the flag.
Everybody do this right here. There was a trumpet jam.
It's a busy downtown. I got caught by the train this afternoon.
Megan,
Okay.
I was concerned. I text.
Sure.
I text you. You got a text from me.
Okay.
All right.
Get here.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming today. I know we've got some exciting stuff to hear and to think about as we're doing this strategic plan. So we'll call ourselves to order, and we'll have the invocation from Ms. Williams.
Gracious Father, we give you glory, honor, and praise, and thank you for all that you have already done for us, how you have kept us, how you have made ways out of no way, Father God. We say thank you. We thank you for life, health, and strength. We pray right now, Father God, as we go into this meeting with the city, that it be about the citizens and what is best for the citizens and for the city of Clinton. We pray, Father God, that you would guide us and lead us, and that we will be on one accord, Father God, and those that even if we have different of opinion, Father God, that we will still be on one accord, and that is serving the citizen and the city of Clinton. We pray, Father God, that you be with us. We pray that you be with all the city officials and all the employees and the citizens of Clinton. This we pray in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Meadows.
Good afternoon. One thing I want to point out to you before I get started and before I forget at the end, you'll find at your desk a notice about the NAACP event on January the 17th. We have a table for 8 for that event, and we want, of course, 8 tickets, and Sonia should have those either tomorrow or early next week. If you'll contact her if you want one, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess the only thing on the agenda tonight is a strategic planning work session. Before I get started, I want to, make the statement that, of course, this is still a work in progress. I need your feedback, and as soon as if we get into this further, we're going to get feedback from some of our community members, educators, healthcare specialists, entrepreneurs, business owners, and get their feedback on these plans so we can make sure we get it right. So, first thing I want to bring up, of course, the meaning of a strategic plan for us is a 5-year plan that we want to set a roadmap and the city's, town, vision, priorities, objectives for the next 5 years. And some of those things that we're going to look at are the vision and mission, strategic goals, action and strategies, performance indicators for each of the items we have here, and then financial and resource planning that will help us achieve these goals. Community, and the other one is community engagement, as I spoke of just a minute ago. And some of the questions we have there, who do we want involved? We want to involve different age groups, youth, working age adults, business owners, nonprofits, faith-based leaders, education leaders, and healthcare providers. And how can we involve these folks? We can do town halls, workshops, online surveys, and social media polls. So, you gonna leave me sign? I'm sorry. And some of the questions we can ask these groups, I'm sorry, I'm moving too fast. What do you want our community to look like in 5 years? What are the top 3 priorities you think the city of Clinton should focus on? What makes you proud of your community today, and what would make you prouder in the future? Sorry, I'm tongue-tied. How satisfied are you with your current city services? Some of these questions we have seen on surveys in the past that PMPA has put out, and I'm sorry to say some of these places we have not done very well. But this is what I want our plan to focus on and get feedback from community members so we can do a better job. I think personally right now with the number of employees we have, we don't have enough, but we're limited with funds to employ more employees, but we do a pretty good job with the number of employees that we have.
Do you want us to wait till the end, or do you want to go through all these, or do you want us to make comments as we go?
You can make comments as you go.
Okay. I was just thinking about how satisfied are you with current city services, as opposed to, that could be one, but as opposed to just a blanket statement, maybe the specifics, because some people may not even realize what exactly is a city service and what isn't a city service. So like trash pickup, but all the things.
Thank you.
Because most of them will focus on utility costs.
That, and I'll back up there too. We get a lot of talk about our sanitation service.
But but the utility is gonna be that number one talk, I believe. Your sanitation would probably fall up under that, but just seeing the talk from Facebook is our cost, the cost of, and I know we don't control it, but it's out there,
It is out there, and I'm happy to report that right now our utility rates, especially for electric, is not the highest in the county anymore. And so I'm not going to get a lot into that tonight. But we are no longer the highest. I figured that the other day. So are there areas where you feel services are lacking or need more attention? And if I do get to going too fast, maybe stop me and ask your question. Any of them?
So these are questions that you would be posing to
Yes, ma'am.
these different age groups, and
Exactly.
you're not asking us these questions.
Well,
You're gonna be asking the
You know,
residents
pretty
these
much-
questions?
Pretty much asking you for your feedback on these two, but then we're gonna put out these surveys and polls and have some more meetings and ask these same questions to the people that come in and attend those meetings. But certainly, your feedback is very important on these.
Well, all these questions are things that we want feedback from everybody on, and something that of course, we're not going to solve it tonight, but we'll be able to take them and be able to think about them and give us a good solid, some good solid information from council and from staff and from all of our different constituencies in the community. I think that'll be very important.
The next one is, what type of businesses or industries would you like to see grow in Clinton? How can the city better support local business and job creations? What amenities or programs would improve your quality of life? Whether it be parks, different events, and different recreation events. How can the city better communicate and engage with our residents? And that's going to be our main topic tonight. The next slide has the city's vision statement that I've come up with. And that's, you know, open to suggestions if we need to make changes here. But I've come up with Clinton is a connected, welcoming, and forward-thinking community that values transparency, economic vitality, strong neighborhoods, and high quality of life for all residents. I think that's what this plan that we're going to put together will accomplish. The city's mission statement that I've come up with is to serve the citizens of Clinton with integrity, efficiency, and innovation while fostering partnerships, supporting sustainable growth, and strengthening community pride. That's another thing that we can do in this, and a lot of that's already there. You know, we all know we read and we see, you know, we get hits on certain things, but I want this plan to turn that corner and turn us around and get more people involved in the city and involved in what we do and how we do things.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Pettis. I thought when we met with Mr. Charlie Barrino, that when we came up with different, I was thinking that you was gonna be coming back to us with some of the things that we selected as the top, and coming with a solution. Here, it's almost like starting all over again.
No, ma'am, I'm not starting over, and if you give me just a minute, we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
The next slide is our must-do priorities, and these are the priorities that you set in our meeting in August. The number one priority we had was communication, both internal and external. And the goal there is to strengthen transparency and trust and engagement with residents, businesses, and partners. So tonight, I'm gonna stop here, and tonight what I've done is I've asked Susan Tallman to come and speak on behalf of business owners and some of the community residents on things that our citizens want to hear from the city. And if Susan will come and
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, just what you want to see me tonight. First of all, I'll be quick, but this is great. I mean, I just feel good being in here and seeing this. And I think the city has done a lot of this in the past, like just simple things like asking for opinion or a survey online or whatever. I think that the part that we fall down on, and I'll say we all the time because I feel like we're all in this together, you know, no criticism, no, we're all in this together. But the follow-up, like this is what y'all thought and this is what we can do about it. And I think sometimes if we're confident and all our findings are based in data and all of that, there shouldn't be a problem with saying, I understand that this is how you feel, but unfortunately, our budget doesn't account for that or whatever. So I think you've been open to asking a lot of questions, but maybe the follow-up is where we kind of fall back on, don't give the actual findings to that. But I think this is all amazing. And as a business owner, I will say that I am not one to love a process. Y'all probably know me very well. I don't love a process. I hate them. But I think in this situation, that's probably what's lacking, is a process for things. And if X is happening, you go talk to this person. If this is happening, you go talk to this person. You go through this chain of command and these channels. And publicly allowing that to be in the forefront and say, if you have a problem with this, you talk to this person. And just like you said, you probably don't have all the people you need, but so I think there's overlap in places, and so for me, or for the things we do in the city, it's hard sometimes to know who to talk to, and then you might not get the best answer. So if there was, job descriptions about this is what this person does, and this is who you talk to, and this is the process you have to go through. Especially in real estate with developers and that sort of thing, this is being on the city driving the process instead of the developers having to come at you all the time and ask you questions. So no, you go, this is what you do. 1, 2, 3, and you go through the process of it. And this is who your point person is and that sort of thing. I do think the Facebook is probably the main channel of communication for the city. And it's been, I would say, it's been a lot better recently. But there again, as somebody who does a lot of social media, I think that it's a lot of posting, but not necessarily keeping track of what's out there and what's being said. I think it's all our responsibility to read it all and see where we're falling down on things, and respond in some way, shape, or form. And just like I said, I don't think we have to say, just because somebody gives an idea or complains, or I just think everybody just wants to be heard. And I know that's, you guys probably get sick of hearing that. But everybody does. They just want to be heard. That's it. And they want to be given the time and then the explanation. I'm sorry, but no, we can't do that. Can't do it because of this or whatever it is. Website is another one. If the website was redone, I'm sure that's not a very cheap thing to do. But if the website was done and was consistent messaging, I think that would make a huge difference, a place for everybody to go, and it was clear and concise. The current website, I actually, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago, was asked to come and look at it and got on the back end of it with somebody, and I think maybe Thomas Higgs, I don't know, and we looked at it, and I thought I could help, but it's very cumbersome. It's very not easy to use, it's not easy to update, and for that reason, it's very boxy looking.
So maybe like the back end, like the coding side of it
it's
is
awful.
cumbersome.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And, I do understand it probably runs a lot of the city as far, because you can pay bills on it and that sort of thing. I think there could be a way where you have a front facing that is pretty easy to run. A lot of people could update it if needed.
That is more accessible,
Yes.
or that you don't have to hunt for it.
Yeah. It's kind of, and it's probably built for places, Chicago might run on something like that. I don't know. But little old Clinton doesn't need all of that bells and whistles, and it does a lot on the backside, but I just don't think it's relevant, really, for a town our size. It could be done very easy. And that would make communication a little bit easier to do that through the website. And this is something that's really not necessarily citizen, but as far as branding, Main Street, we have, our little logo, Clinton in the middle of everywhere. the middle of everywhere might not suffice for the first citizens. I don't know. They might not like that. But somebody, a wise person once told me a long time ago that a logo is just the actual graphic. When somebody says their brand, it's the emotion you feel when you look at that logo. And so rebranding, I would think, would not be such a bad idea. I mean, I don't even know how to say it. Just something that's happier, and even if there's a, okay, yes, we have a seal, and I did that seal, however, 100 years ago. If the seal was the official city government business, but then something like Main Street's logo that's happy and gives you a feeling of, I would hope, joy in some sense, and quality and brightness and all of those things, would lead to a more, the interaction would kind of follow that hopefully and not be so official. Or Travelers Rest, and we've talked about this, Travelers Rest has a really good one because they've got, most cities do have a side that's more tourism facing, and then they have a side that's government, and Travelers Rest has put theirs together in a very nice way. So they actually run on one thing, and it looks beautiful and it's happy, but yet gets the job done, gets the actual content for government the way it should be.
I've got a question going back to the first thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, when you were talking about ease of knowing who to go to, so almost like a flow chart of, but what would be the categories? I don't do like,
Right.
I'm not looking for those things, so I don't know what, like permits, like what kinds of things,
Yes.
just specific.
I think you could do it based off of all the things that people would come to you for. Okay, I'm gonna start a small business. Here, Susan. This, number one, you do this. Number two, you do this. We might not have, now, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say, we might not have, because I'm on the design review board. I've always offered, okay, since my background is design oriented, you know, I'm probably better served, and I am trying to get off the design review board right now, because I feel like I'm better served with, okay, if you're gonna start a business downtown, you do this, but then you could go, Susan Tallman volunteers to help you with your sign. And
Don't offer volunteer services.
well, I mean, to make sure that to help them understand this is what it has to meet. And then when they would come before design review board, oh, it meets all our requirements, it's good, done. Just,
So in other words, what you're saying
Communication.
that the city should have a packet
Yes.
available to someone that comes, that want, to start a small business, that the city should have a package
Yes.
available to that person to say, this is what you need to
Yes.
do as far as submitting your sign, you need to do,
yes,
you need to go to this
yes,
person, you need to, so, you know,
Yes.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, something that the
Yes.
city could give, to
It's
that
easy
person.
to read, bright and
Easy to read,
colorful.
here's the package.
Again.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to help do that, to make it easy and simple and pretty. People don't read anymore, I mean, that's obvious, we're not reading as much, so it needs to be big number one.
yeah, and definitely with you being on the design and review board, I was on it as well.
Yeah.
That a lot of people do not know, such as the historical section of Clinton, what is required within that historical area. So if all of that was put in a packet
Right.
and given to that person that, okay, I'm coming to Clinton and I'm getting ready to open up a dress shop on Broad Street, then I need to be given a package for that area that says that this is a historical
Right.
area, so this is what is required as far as your sign, this is
Yeah.
what you can and cannot do. instead of, that way when they do come to the design and review board, there's no problem, it's
Right.
already,
It's done.
it's done.
And I would even go a step
Communication.
further, and this is the part that's complicated for y'all and for the city staff, is just keeping up with the changes that are happening in the private sector, so to speak. So like, we sell a building downtown Clinton. I'd love to give them a one-pager on the historical, the historical overlay. Because even that becomes, if somebody buys a building, they don't even know what they're buying, they're buying in a historical district, and there are restrictions, there needs to be a packet for that. There needs to be, selling houses, people that move here from out of the county, out of the state, whatever, would love to give them a one-page. So their first interaction with the city is a positive, this is what you need to do. Because now we've started doing home inspections, occupancy permit before people move into their house. That's something different. And so before they'll flip the electricity over, Tim from the inspection has to come and look at your house. Well, it would be nice to give them a packet for that. And then it's just a positive from the city from the get-go. We're trying to make you successful. We're cheering you on, but these are the rules you gotta follow, these are the people you need to talk to, and, that sort of thing. Is that good enough?
And that helps with transparency,
Oh, it
with the
does.
city. It really helps.
Tremendous.
Even when someone come to get new power, get their power cut on, that they need to get a packet to know, your trash pickup is on this
Right.
day.
Yes.
This is the type of trash that need to be picked up on this day. Having that one-sheeter, explaining to that citizen that this is what,
Yeah.
getting your power turned on, this is what is required.
Yeah.
Again, trash pickup, your fire department, this is the fire department number,
Yep.
this is the police department number for emergency, non-emergency. Having that one sheeter, giving it to everyone, even, to know that, this is what is required. Everybody, like you said, do not read.
Right,
And that's unfortunately, but it's true.
right.
That, people just assume that, you come down into the city, I wanna get my power turned on, they fill out the form, and you give them the money, and you out the door, and then they don't realize, okay, there's an ordinance that's in place.
Right.
There's certain things that we cannot do, cannot burn trash in the city. All of that need to be, citizens need to know that.
Right.
So
And
that's,
that's just a positive, that's you driving the train and putting the information out there and saying, we want to make you successful, and we want to be successful together.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
I
Thanks,
know it
Susan.
sounds like a lot, but things like that, a little committee, put a little committee together that's like 2 staff people and like somebody like me and some other people, we could dream that up real quick. Put it together and make it easy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Kind of piggybacking on a couple of things that Susan brought up was about our website redesign. We do have a new website. It is going through the process of every department looking at what's on our current website that was transferred over to the new website, and by the end of January, we're gonna have that done. Every correction we need to make, we're gonna add some of the things that Susan just mentioned on, what do you need to do to move, buy a house in Clinton and move in and get your utilities turned on? What you have to do to buy a permit? And so, excuse me, all of that will be included on our new website, and right now we expect it to go live on February the 15th.
I'm sorry. I just remembered something, and this is important. I recently emailed somebody within the city, well, not recently, probably 3 months ago, emailed somebody within the city to ask a question. And I didn't get an answer for about 8 days. So I emailed again. And that lovely person, who was great, said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've been out of town for a week." There, as far as your communication, there needs to be tough stipulations that if you go out of town, it's mandatory that you put on your email, "I'm sorry, I'm out of town for a week, please call this person." Things like that, because it makes you feel like, it made me feel like, well, it doesn't really, I don't matter. Because this was to do with starting a business. I don't matter. When it was just a simple oversight. And some people might not be able to, don't know how to set that up. Again,
That's a good idea.
again, happy to come help figure that out. But I'll send him an email I have that will explain it. But just like the communication inside and how it's,
That's a good idea.
you greet the people, you know. Everybody said when the state started saying, "It's a great day in South Carolina," everybody thought it was dumb, but it's really not dumb. It's a good thing if, you know, you do all those things. That's where the processes came in. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. And, you know, we're gonna incorporate some of those things in there, and, hopefully have that website up and running by the middle of February. So that's in progress. The next speaker I have is Catherine Elrod. Catherine, most of you heard at the PMPA conference this summer. She's with Seeker, and she did a great job there, so I thought it'd be a good time to bring her in and get her to tell us how we can accomplish some of these communications issues that we have with our citizens. And internally, both internally and externally.
Well, thank y'all so much for having me. I did get to meet several of you this past summer at PMPA, and I'm excited to be here. Susan started with not being a fan of process. I love process. I think everything should be a process. It's funny, they talk about Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A has this beautiful culture that everybody loves, whether you like their chicken or not. It's a good experience generally when you go to Chick-fil-A. That didn't happen organically. That is a process that has now developed into a really beautiful culture. Just to give you a little bit of background for those of you that weren't at PMPA this summer and our folks that are here in the room, I'm qualified to speak about this. So Megan would say the fact that I graduated from Wofford is enough to make me qualified. But after I finished at Wofford, I actually started my career with the Greenville Journal and Town Magazine, so in publications. I still read. I am a reader. I will always be a reader of the printed word. After that, I spent about 10 years with a branding and digital marketing agency, managed the launch of over 100 websites during that time, probably 200 branding campaigns, and then spent the next 10 years with a company called C-Level that's based out of Liberty. C-Level builds, designs, engineers, and manufactures on site, primarily for Department of Defense, so a lot of it is industrial computers. It's not a computer you or I would use, but the vast majority of 911 call centers have their computers. Remote locations for our Department of Defense utilize their computers. And what I realized over time, it's so funny, I still have my notebook from my first week there. I'm a big note taker. And every page for like the first probably 10 pages, it was just full of abbreviations, because I would sit in meetings and people would rattle off these abbreviations, and I am not an engineer. And so I would write it down, and then I would go back to my desk and Google what all these abbreviations meant. 10 years later, I knew what they all meant, and I could market them. So what I realized is if I can talk about why you want to choose FPGA architecture, or if you want a COM-HPC architecture, if you need a chip down SBC for computers, if I could talk about those things and market them, I could market anything, because it's hard. So fast forward to Seeker. Seeker was really born out of that experience, and also my love for getting in the trenches with companies. My deal is I have to be able to drive to you within a day's time. We're located in Easley, and part of that is it's not just marketing for me. I want to be involved with your organization top to bottom. I want to see what you do and how you do it and talk to your people to help them do their jobs better. So a little bit about what I'm thinking right now for City of Clinton. Joey and I got to meet late summer last year, and really what struck me, there's the common phrase that perception is reality. Well, and that says basically if what people think is true, or what's being said in lieu of good information, then becomes fact for them. What I would challenge the city to do is to make the reality the perception. Y'all, there are amazing things happening here. Just as Joey took me through some of the things that you were doing for your own recreation complex and what is planned for future development in terms of more sports complexes, sports fields, hotels, restaurants, residential. There are so many exciting things coming to Clinton, and that's what we want people to talk about. And not because we want to distract them from anything else, but because that is the reality of what Clinton looks like today. So first and foremost, it's defining and committing to our brand. And so the first thing that I do with any customer, just like Susan shared, that your logo is just what you look like. Your brand is the feelings and emotions people evoke. We talk about what are we known for today? What do we want to be known for? We ask the question, I'm thinking about all these things coming to Clinton. Why wouldn't I want to live here? We have to answer that question. What are we best at? How do we measure success? Who are our audiences? You touched on this some. With who are we going to talk to? We want to talk to different age groups. We want to talk to residents across the spectrum of areas within Clinton. We want to talk to you. There are lots of different people that we're serving, and we want to make sure that we get their input. Not maybe most importantly, but equally importantly, how and what are we communicating internally? It's funny, internal communications was never something I was passionate about until my time with C-Level. But being involved with them at a strategic level really made me understand the value of that. And the things that we tell the outside world are great. But if we can't back that up internally, and if our people don't believe that, it doesn't mean anything. And then finally, who does what we do best? How can we, and we want to work so that eventually we say, we do what we do best. But today, what other cities, what other communities are doing what we do best? What are they doing best in terms of communication? What are they doing best in terms of making sure that that citizens are heard? So really evaluating that. And then out of that, you develop your brand and communication standards. So this is where we go to process. How do we communicate? So that's your visuals. Again, your Facebook page is great. There are a lot of updates there. They all look a little different. We want to have consistent fonts. We always want to use consistent colors. We want people to look at something, and whether it has our logo on it or not, they can say, that's from the city. Language is a big part of that. The words that we use. And again, the consistency with that and that tone of voice. Also talking about how frequently we're going to communicate with people across platforms, and we'll get into those next. But establishing, these are like, and not just establishing, but committing to, this is how frequently we're going to touch people across these different channels. And finally, expectations. Expectations is a tricky one, and it's something worthwhile talking about. Because once you set an expectation, you then have to live up with it, live up to it. I work with several different utility companies. One utility company has set the expectation that they are accessible and will respond pretty much 24 hours a day. So the expectation is that if they message at 11:30 on Saturday night and say, my water pressure isn't what I'd like for it to be, they expect a response. I have another customer in the same space that their folks know that if it's after 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, they're probably not going to hear from them until the next working business day. And it's not to say that one is right or wrong, but those customers know what to expect, And in turn, those organizations are matching those expectations. So the next thing that comes out of that, that's all a lot of internal work that we do. It is asking people outside this building, but it's not really, we don't have anything to show yet at this stage. One thing I always ask when we get to the end of this is, okay, so Joey, I've sat down with you, or Anita, I've sat down with you, or Randy, you've told me, who else within your organization could answer these questions? And a lot of times the answer is no one. And that's a problem. We want everyone within the organization to be able to answer the questions and give the same answers so that they know, again, the language that we use, the tone of voice that we use, and so that it's consistent across everything that we deliver. So that if I call and Sonia picks up the phone, I have a very similar experience to if Joey picks up the phone. The other thing I'll say about that, just briefly, is as we think about how we're putting information out there, and even if it is permits, if we can tie that to a person's name, it makes a big difference. My attitude, if I've got to call the city, is very different than if I've got to call Joey. So if we can direct people to specific folks within an organization, it goes a long way in establishing relationships and also helping your citizens see you as people. I think especially in government organizations, it's really easy for us to say, oh, that's the city. It's this entity that is very inhuman, doesn't care about my problems, is not touchy-feely in any way, shape, or form. But we really want to try to counteract that and have them see us as people just like we see them as people. And y'all interrupt me at any point. I know I tend to sling through things pretty quickly. Next up is identifying the tools we use. So again, Facebook is great for you guys. So the city right now, based on what I've read, has about 8,500 residents. You have 9,300 followers on Facebook. So your challenge is not the number of people that are following and seeing the information. It's the consistency of that information. And just like we've touched on tonight, what does our response look like? This is one thing in Easley that they as a city are struggling with a little bit right now is how much do we respond? How, even legally, what can we do as a city? And that is why it is helpful to bring out someone outside of the actual, not a city employee, because we don't have some of the restrictions that you do and can serve as an advocate for you in a different way. But again, if I have this great social media campaign and all of the information I'm pushing to people looks great, that's only a fraction of what that communication strategy should look like. Because if I'm contacting the city and I'm not getting anything back, it's total one-way communication. And so for me as a resident, I'm not having the best experience possible. And as we plan for the city, we're missing out on some valuable feedback. So it is super encouraging that you guys are already talking about who can we ask these questions of? How can we incorporate more feedback? But don't let this be a stopping point for that. That has to be a long kind of lifestyle in how we engage with our residents. So again, social media, it really looks like identifying platforms. I, again, am a big fan of process, so I like an annual plan for what a social media content calendar looks like, and then the same thing for a month to month. The nice thing about that is you have your foundation of what information is going out, and then you can always add more. You can always, oh, we forgot that we're doing this today, we need to take a picture, we need to share that. That's great. What I want you to avoid doing is, oh my gosh, we haven't posted anything in 4 days, we need something to post. What's coming up, let's post about that. The approach of planning all of that content does several things for you. It makes sure, again, that you have that foundation, that you have that consistent message, but it also allows you to sit down and say, what do we want to tell people about? Do we want to devote the month of May to what it looks like if you're a new homeowner here? Do we want to look at July and say, if you're thinking about a small business here, what does that look like? If you're a nonprofit in the city, how do we partner with you? Again, kind of saying all the things you would ever want to share and wish that your citizens knew, How do we lay that out and plan that? And then other communication tools. So emails and digital newsletters, again, not everybody reads what's in print. So those are great tools. Joey has shared that you guys do mailers. I think that there is some opportunity maybe to mix those up a little bit, and even drive people from the mailers to other avenues. Your phone, how you answer the phone, what does that sound like? The physical office, how are people greeting you here? Press releases, that's one thing I would encourage the city specifically to look at, is a frequency of press releases. There is a lot happening. There is no shortage of what is happening. We have got to commit to telling people on a regular basis what your signage looks like, and then was very excited to hear about the new website when Joey and I met previously. Again, if we're using social media, we know that's a great tool to communicate with people, but then we're pushing them to our website to learn more information. We want to make sure that that is just as good of an experience. And so it's not like, oh, I get all this on social media and then I get to the website and it's a little defunct. So in thinking about kind of all these different ways to touch people, you're going to have residents that have a preferred platform. They're going to have their space. You're going to have folks that are never going to be on Facebook. And you're going to have folks that are never going to read that paper mailer. So making sure that your content is, every piece of information doesn't have to go along every channel, but there does need to be some overlap if we want to make sure that all of our residents are exposed to this information. Sometimes one fits better than the other, and then sometimes, like in the event of a disaster, there are communication systems that fail, that we don't have access to, that we can't use. So if we don't already know how to use and communicate, and our citizens aren't expecting to hear from us on these other channels, that's a missed opportunity again. Plan the work and work the plan. Again, this is where you are right now, very much, is that you've come up with what you want your strategic plan to look like, and now the work for actually making that a reality. As I mentioned, internal communications. So everyone that works for the city is a representative of the city. And sometimes that's amazing, and sometimes that is not so great. But what we want to do is very much work alongside everyone within the organization so that they become eventually our brand ambassadors, so that they know, again, the tone, the language, that they are aware of what the city is doing. I think that can very much be a challenge when you have an organization with lots of different departments. So making sure that they are educated and informed about what's happening globally, just as well as they know what's happening within their own department. And then talking with them. So there's some feedback loops and metrics. We want to talk to these departments and say, okay, what are our opportunities? What do you see as something we should be telling citizens about? One of the things we want to work towards is having all of this communication so buttoned up and so accessible that you actually reduce the number of questions that you get. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but what you're trying to do is make it so I don't ever have to pick up the phone. I know the answer. I can easily find the answer. And it's not to ever diminish that one-on-one connection and communication. We just want to make sure people are getting information the way that they are most likely to receive it. What else do we need? It sounds like we need some packets of what's going on in the city and what do I need to do to be a part of it. What is working, and even more importantly, what is absolutely not working. And then how are we measuring success in a quantifiable manner? One thing I'll say here is asking these questions internally as well as the ones that you've talked about externally. Not only be prepared for the answer, but you have to be prepared to do something about it. Don't ask the question if you're not willing to do something about it. The last thing that I'll share, and this goes right back to what Megan said originally when we were talking about what city services, are you satisfied with that? Defining those city services before you ask the question of what does that look like. So years and years ago, and many of you have heard this story, but I was working on a website. I was working with an agency company, and we were working on this website, and they're like, Catherine, it's great. We've got this lady coming from Einstein in California. She is an expert in SEO. It's going to be so great for your client. Da, 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 da. I mean, they were just going off about how wonderful this experience was going to be. And I stopped and I said, Ryan, that sounds great, but I don't know what SEO is. And so that's search engine optimization. But less important than the actual term is that they were so busy explaining to me how great it was going to be that they failed to educate me. The same is very true. I will never live this down, but for many years, I complained about paying for sewer. I paid for the water, totally got that. I used that. Why do I have to pay for sewer too? I thought that was just the biggest bunch of malarkey imaginable. But now I understand that that is the most expensive part, wastewater treatment for our utility. So you know what? I don't mind paying for sewer anymore. So again, the idea that we really want to over-educate folks, not inundate them with unnecessary information by any stretch, but definitely share as much as we can so that they have access to accurate information, and before we kind of dive into a lot of explanations. So that's what I have for us tonight. Do y'all have questions for me?
Catherine, I have one that's
Yeah.
kind of a sticky one.
Okay,
Um,
let's go.
Since we were just talking about sewer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Coma. As you or someone like you works within our people and you recognize they're not in the right seat, and no matter how much you work with them, hold their hand, walk with them, talk with them, if they're not in the right seat, we're never going to get to the end result we need to get to. So what do?
So I'll continue with the seat analogy. So just because you're not in the right seat doesn't mean you have to get off the bus. There may be another seat on the bus for you.
Mm-hmm.
However, ultimately, sometimes there is no seat left on the bus for you. And so I am a direct communicator. And so that for me, if it is a specific individual, that's just a conversation to say, first of all, tell me about your experience here. How do you feel like things are going? Where do you feel like you're excelling? And then you go into, well, this is how we see it as an organization. I do think, like I said, I always start with, there may be another seat for you on the bus, but ultimately, you may have to get off the bus.
And I'm not saying current management's done
No,
that.
not at all.
But we do have some folks, I personally feel like, are in a position that they're drowning.
Yeah.
And
The other thing I will say about that is that as you all work to make some pretty significant changes in what your strategy is, there will be some natural atrophy from that. And they will realize, if I'm already drowning and I'm being pushed to this level, it's probably time to bail. Does that help answer your question?
yeah, and one other and then another follow-up question. These two are going to have to be reseated.
Separate.
I have the bill.
Separate
We're going to
them.
have to separate them. That's the mayor's responsibility, not mine, though. I still, and it's a personal pet peeve of mine, I can't stand that downstairs
Okay.
coming in area. It drives me nuts every day of my life.
This was his building before.
Yeah,
He
it's-
said
He is
every
free to
day.
say
It's
this.
not,
He
it's
can
not.
say whatever he
I mean,
wants
it's
about the
personally,
building.
it's not inviting, it's not
Yeah.
welcoming. You gotta walk around and then you see all these empty spaces and all this floor space, and it's just not. But I know we're gonna get there, and we're gonna change that, and it's gonna become very welcoming and inviting. I'm sure it's right around the corner, but I know that's another aspect because it's cold
Yeah.
when you walk in downstairs.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make this one of the most welcoming and inviting communities. I think when you made comment about the physical part, that's absolutely critical.
No, and that's the thing, is your brand has to expand to every place that I may come in contact with you. You've got a great space. You've got plenty of space. So I know it's going to be great. Just getting it there.
I agree with you, Danny, on that. I mean, it seemed like it was more welcoming when utility was downstairs, and so you had people moving around. You had, it doesn't, now it seemed like a dead space. So if, for instance, the person that is downstairs is, happen to have gone to the restroom, and you come in at the time they've gone to the restroom, there's no one else, there, and you kinda like looking around.
Where do
like,
I go?
Yeah, what's going on down here? It is, I think a lot can be picked up. Maybe we'll put you down there, Danny, I'm not working committee.
Well, you know, now that you say that, we've just had the police department move out back into their building, and, we allowed DSS to use one of the vacant rooms downstairs for their gifts that are donated every year that they give out around Christmas. So, yes, that space is empty right now, but we do have plans for some of the vacant offices and rooms that are downstairs that we're gonna spruce it up. And, we've still got one of the offices that we need to use, and we're still waiting on, some furniture and things like that to be delivered over to the, public safety complex, or whatever we call it now, over there for the clerk of court to move into her new office. So, we're gonna get there. It's just, we've gotta get, I'm not a designer. I'm gonna have to get somebody to help me with that. But we're gonna get there, and I know exactly what you're speaking of.
Well, and in lieu of moving people around, you also just want folks, if they come in here and they don't even need to talk to anyone, you want them to get something out of that. Or if I am waiting on someone to get something out of that. We went last spring. I am not a huge football fan, I will confess, but we were in Dallas, and so we went to the Star. We went to the training complex over there, and we did take a tour. But had I just walked in that building, not even as a football fan, I would have gotten a lot out of just being in the building, just based on the graphics, the history. Some really cool displays that they did, that you might kind of originally think about, why would somebody want to see that? So I think, again, you've got a big space, you've got a lot of space. It's just getting creative with how we use it, and really making it a little bit of a destination for the city.
And that's a good when you send displays and stuff, because we do have, you know, displays over at the old museum that we could bring to put downstairs, because I think a lot of people don't even know that we got that museum downstairs, because it's, you know, you gotta be able to go in that room to see it. So if some was out, in the area down there, pieces of whatever, or a sign to say, you know, museum right here, and to give people, and that way they will see some stuff. So I think we got plenty of stuff that we could put down there to make it more inviting without it costing so much. Just using some of the stuff that we do have,
Yes, ma'am.
pieces that we can bring out, that was in the museum, to put out in the lobby, and that will cause people to look, and then they can go, oh wow, there's another room right here, 2 rooms that, so that can be inviting.
Anyone else?
I wanted to just dialogue with you a little bit about the PR stuff. My initial feeling hearing that is it's great. We need more of that. We need to put out a lot of factual information. Get all the fonts the same. I agree with all that stuff. But when it starts coming from the city all the time, I think it can quickly become, okay, that's their city's PR. Of course they're going to say that. They're going to make it look good or whatever. Looking at people's concerns on Facebook, the highest satisfaction I've seen us receive is when Joey has gotten on there, seen something, and said, I'll take care of that. But at the same time, he can't
Can't do that.
he can't be on Clinton Talk 10 hours a day addressing issues. So what are your thoughts on how because you mentioned humans. When I see things, I'm like,
He didn't see your presentation.
No, I didn't see it.
So I think you explained how you, her presentation at PMPA, I think if you explain like how you did like the,
Lloyd.
Yeah, and the employee profiles.
Okay, so there's a couple of different things that work there. Employee profiles are great. That's one of the things that, and it's not just it's incredible to see what that does internally, kind of for morale, and then externally, again, showing people that there are real folks here, and we don't want it to always be Joey because Joey can't answer every question.
Right.
But show me Sonia and what I need to call and talk to her about. And what she's interested in and what she does on the weekends and what her favorite thing about the city is. And so again, that's another touch point. That's an easy step in that direction. The other thing is that we have been successful with, I would encourage you to go see him. If you have not, Easily Combined Utilities has been our longest standing client with Seeker. One of the things we did for them, and we talked about this for months before we actually started with them, is we created Lloyd. Lloyd is a fictional character, and Lloyd is not an employee of the utility. Lloyd is a customer, and Lloyd gets just as aggravated with the utility as any other customer. And he gets ill because his yard is being dug up because they're going to bury the power lines. But he explains, they're doing this because they're going to bury the power lines, and now I'm not going to lose power when it's windy. So again, having those voices that are advocates, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be this imaginary caricature, but I think you have, even being here tonight, you have voices in the community that are very willing to help you get your message out and help you advocate so that it's not always just coming from the city. And again, just like I said at the beginning, part of what I would encourage you to do is get names in there, and so that it's not city administrator says, it's not city mayor says, it's someone who's actually in the electric department when we're talking about a project there. Or if it's Parks and Rec, it's someone actually at Parks and Rec that is quoted and is put out there as the contact person. So again, I think it's the first thing you have to do, obviously, is get your internal folks on board with all of this and make sure that your messaging is communicated the same at all times, but also putting them out there. And some folks are hesitant to do that. Some folks may not love being out there, but I do think it goes a long way in humanizing, again, an organization that can be seen as very aloof and standoffish. Does that help answer that question at all?
Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind as we talk about the packets and everything, and I know some people hate me saying this, but AI can do so much right now, all of a sudden, that if as a city, somewhere in our stuff, we have who does what and how to do, if we just have that written out with a little AI question box, it will make sense of that for us. Like it can be, it used to be where you'd type in a question and you'd see a bunch of links and you have to read articles, but now if someone if someone comes to our site and says, I want to start a business, what's the first step? Or nobody picked up my trash this week, who do I call? They have it like that, but we just have to implement that. And it's the cheapest, fastest, most effective option we have.
And I don't discourage that at all by any means. I think that is great for folks that are going to your website, but you're still going to have people that call. You're still going to have people that come by. And so having that level of resource accessible to everyone, if I were going to have a new business in the city, I would physically come here and I would want you to hand me papers.
Oh, I definitely want that. I want someone to work directly with them.
So I think, again, thinking about all of your different audiences and all these different tools that you have at your disposal. So I think using an AI platform for that is amazing. There's no reason not to. But I would say, okay, you've amassed this information anyway and fed it to AI for this purpose. Let's make sure that we're making the most of the information we've assembled. And so we don't ever want anything to go to waste, and we don't ever want to use anything once. So if I've done it to create this, maybe now I'm going to do a mailer that's specific to this, or I'm going to do a newsletter on this, or we're going to make June the month for this. Again, we want to hammer people over the head everywhere they are with this information.
And I think having those packages, downstairs at the receptionist desk, if they came in and say, I need to know who to contact as far as I'm going to start a business or whatever, and she could have that package to hand to them. even at the utility, office, that if they come, that you got a one-sheeter that they come and ask for, because a lot of time, people do not go online, they do not, I've had a lot of people say, you know, I'm not on Facebook. I don't go on Facebook. I don't even go on, you know, online or whatever, so people need that, you know, we say we wanna get away from paper, but I think we can't get away from paper. So having that packet available, that when a citizen come in downstairs, they can have that packet available for, even that one sheet of who to contact. And it's there to, that you can give it to them right then, and then that way they have something in their hand. I think about when I had the town hall meeting, Mr. Meadows over at Lydia Mill, the fire department and stuff, they had packages that was passed out to the citizens, that they was able to get right then to see, okay, this is trash pickup day, this is, you know, because they had it right then, it was visible to them. Instead of saying, oh, go on our website and you'll find it on the website. No.
That's not a good
Fire
experience.
department, police department, they had it right there, packages out there, for them to be able to pick up, to know, and I think that was very helpful.
Well, and how you communicate these things is obviously an ongoing conversation, because if we were in this room 5 years ago, we wouldn't talk about feeding all this to AI. And if we're 5 years out from now, we may say, well, people aren't really using paper as much, so we could scale back on that. So it's not to say that anything you commit to today is saying forevermore, we're going to need to supply all of these things to everyone. It is an ongoing reevaluation and making sure you're using the tools and the things that you're getting feedback from, and you see people are really using XYZ a lot. Well, let's make sure that we keep that as up to date as possible. Again, it's all about communication at the end of the day.
Right, and it's a balance of
It is.
stuff too. You know, I've dealt with a company, and the lady I talked with, Angie, was an AI. And we were really good friends.
Did a
You
new
get a Christmas card?
relationship.
And all this information, and I said, and when she says, is there anything else I can do to help you? And I said, yes, I would like to talk to a human now. And she said, I'll put you in touch with one of our representatives.
Yeah.
And so and then I knew what to ask them because she'd already told me. So it's kind of weird, but
Yeah, this
You know
AI,
what I
you
know,
don't know
it's
what to
getting
believe,
there.
you don't know whether to believe whatever
I
AI
know.
is saying, whether
I
it's
know.
true or false.
Well, the thing you can do, like on our localized website, is it would just take, it'll just take what we've said, and you could go on there and type in, you know, a random, who do I call about some leaves in
Yeah.
front of a stop sign or something, I don't know. It'll give you a phone number, so I want them directed to the right person, and the more our people are known in the community, and you should call this person about this and this person about this, that's, I think I'm saying the same thing you
Yeah,
were,
you
that
are.
when we're dealing with people we know, it makes it
It's
a lot harder to be angry than it is you're angry at the city of Clinton.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and to your point about ways of communication, when we introduced online banking at the bank, well, we thought bank by phone would go away. No one would ever use bank by phone because they were going to have it in the palm of their hand. We still had as many phone calls from that generation of wanting to call in and hear their transactions that had posted. So we could not do away with bank by phone. We had to just add to our tools in the tool belt to work with, because that was it. And so your point a while ago about the phone, I'm telling you, phone is critical to the lifeline of a business.
And even that person downstairs
Yeah.
is critical, to have that. I think all of us get frustrated when we call and we get routed. Press 1, and then you press 1, then it says tell what it is that you want, then you gotta go through that, then it routes you somewhere else, and I be saying, a live person, please, a live person. So it is important to have that live person, to have that live sheet that they can just actually look at is there. people, I mean, I'm old fashioned, there's very few things I wanna do online, I want to be able to know to just go right to it. And I'm like with Danny, I want to call my bank and say, hey,
Yes.
you know, I don't want you directing me to an online services or something. And to someone that you can't even hardly understand what it is that they're saying. I know you've gotten those calls because they're routed to India or somewhere, and I'm going like, really? So it's important, I think it is.
One of the main things I would like to see as far as getting information out there is after a lot of our council meetings, that's when everything blows up on Facebook. And that's where everybody's talking. It's like, that's where people go to communicate rather than people used to call each other, but now they're all on Facebook. A lot of times the rumors that get started or questions they're asking were in our packet that we got. I assume, I don't know, I guess that's public information, isn't it?
It is.
Should be.
But, so you look at it and you're like, well, if they would have seen the packet I saw, they wouldn't be mad about this, or their questions would at least be answered.
They'd have to look at that
Well, I know they'd have to look at it, but I think we have enough people that if we had some bullet points or something, would look at it and at least be able to answer some questions and say, it's right here if you want to see, it's right here in black and white on the city's website or on the city's Facebook page. Because we have to have it out there right after the meeting, because that's when everybody's arguing about it. 2 days later, the algorithm has already told them, it's already gone. So, but I think that would solve some of our issues, because there's been a lot of times where people are, maybe not even if they're angry, but they're confused. But the information is there, it just takes a little bit of looking for. So I think the easier we make it to just get the same information we have, the better it is for everybody.
And I think it needs to be out there in advance so that if a citizen want to come to that council meeting to speak on that, just putting the agenda out there is not good enough for me. I think the whole packet need to be out there. That's where the transparency come in at. That's where the accountability come in at. Then that way, that citizen will know, okay, this is what is on the agenda for council meeting. This is the backup. Instead of them assuming and going online and saying, why they done that dumb stuff that they did and all of that. And to encourage, I even like the fact that the city have now started posting, please, encouraging people to come to city council meeting. Because I notice other cities, there are more citizens that are at council meetings. They're given the opportunity to speak. And I think too, Mayor, that if it's just one or two people that are signed up, that we don't cut them off if they have something important. If it's just 2 or 3 people, allow them to speak, and then once they do, I always tell people that say, I want to come to council meeting and I want to speak on something. I tell them, have it written down, put your name, your address on it. And then I'm expecting and hoping that once they turn it in to the clerk, that they get a follow-up. And a lot of people say, well, I came, I spoke, I did not get a follow-up. All we did was just came and nothing was done, nothing was said afterwards. And I think we owe it to our citizens that if they do come to council meeting, if they do speak, then there is a follow-up. They may not like what it is that, because we can't always, I think you said, we can't always do what a citizen wants, but at least to respond back and say,
They've
hey,
been acknowledged.
I acknowledge that I got your concern. This is what we can do, this is what we cannot do. We do appreciate, your concern. So I think it's very important that, that citizen that take the time out to come and speak to council, that they get a follow-up, because the mayor let them know this is not a question and answer. So they're coming with a question, then they should be able to get an answer, and it need to be that week. It don't need to be further, it need to be that week. It need to be addressed. They speak on Monday, by that week, they need to get a response.
Ms. Williams,
And
I totally agree with you.
Let me talk.
Well, that is one of the bullet points that I have here that we haven't gone over yet, that we're gonna start doing. And I'm gonna answer the the three, people that spoke this past Monday. And, I don't know if you noticed that when, the two ladies from Gary Street spoke the other night, Assistant Chief Lawton went out and spoke with those ladies and assured them that we would take action and follow up on their complaints. So that's done there, and I plan on doing that again tomorrow and opening up and letting them know that if they, continue to have those complaints, that we will work on it and work with them to get those resolved.
I think there's an additional opportunity for visibility there though too, that depending on the nature of the comment, question, or complaint, we received this in this past week's city council meeting, and you publish that, and so then it becomes, you become an infallible source of truth, because someone can't say, well, nobody ever got back to me. Really?
Yep.
According to this, they sure did. So.
Just cause you want to say
Oh, you gonna let me talk now?
Yeah.
I agree.
Celebrate nonstop.
I agree. I think the stuff that needs to be out there, and I'm gonna use two incidents, just like the ball complex, with the new Rex, not the Rex, but the new sports facility with the 13 fields. I mean, just like you said, the information's out there, well, okay, they pay $2,500 an acre. Well, of course, all the Clinton said, well, yes, I pay $2,500 an acre. Well, they also got put out there, y'all tell me if I'm saying what I'm supposed to say. Well, Mr. John put down $1.5 million that he's gonna lose if he don't do this in 4 years. If the public knows this, then they might not read about that 2,500, because they ain't got that 1.5 million put down.
Or even if you
Can we
don't
just
say
put-
that, okay, we'd be happy to sell you land for $2,500 an acre if you can agree to providing us this investment in return that they're going to over the next 10, 15, like whatever the projections are, to really harp more on what is this doing for Clinton versus they got a steal of a deal on land.
And, just like that, just say it during the meeting, okay, you got everybody talking or whatever, and it's like Mr. John Glass talking about using Old Colony Road. Okay, it's not a Q&A, but when it's all said and
Yeah.
done, Mr. John has heard the questions, and let him just address, I've heard your concerns, this is my plan, this is, this is where we're going from there. The same thing with the city bills, everybody, everywhere you go, they don't wanna move to Clinton because the power bill's so low. They say we're gonna get more people, but then the power's not gonna drop the cost of it. Well, somebody explain, put it out there, okay, this is why we paying this much, and this is why we're stuck, and let them know that this is the reason. Don't come, well, the city's on power, we're gonna get our power bill cut this month, put it out there, this is why we're paying this rate. And just let them know, we will cut all this other out. I don't do social media because I hear all this other stuff and I hear enough, and I wanna know who's gonna be Lloyd, me or you. I wanna be the city mascot.
I just think transparency is so
I do, yeah.
important. Transparency eliminates all of the speculations. And when you have it out there, as you say, the people can't say, well, you didn't know because you didn't
Yes,
read it.
that,
Or, you didn't acknowledge it or whatever. But if the same that I had mentioned about that, our council package, the full package, get put online so that citizens can view it and say, oh, I want to speak on that, wait a minute, and not after the fact. And I think a lot of times citizens will understand, and they won't say, well, you got a bunch of knuckleheads up there making decisions that they shouldn't be making.
You paying your pocket?
Yeah, patting your pockets and stuff, but I just think transparency is so very, very important, because we are not just dealing with our finance, we're dealing with the city finance. And I think the citizens have a right to know how it is spent. Even when we're selling property, it need to be a sign up for a sale. The city is selling this property, and that is posted, that the citizens can see it, because that was one of the problems. They said that, hey, we didn't even know that property was being put up for sale. You put a sign up there, it's posted, it's for sale.
My thing on that, just say your car's not for sale, but I'm looking for a car and you come by and you say, well, my car's worth $5,000. I come by and say, hey, I'll give you 10,000. You didn't have no for sale sign there, but you're gonna take my 10,000.
No, I've had people come by
I've
and
just
buy
made
my
it before,
Mercedes,
if
and I
you don't
tell
have
them,
a
there's
sale.
no for sale sign on that car.
Ms. Tallman, you were,
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to, sorry, like the baseball and like housing developments that we are all in, all that stuff. I do know, per Joseph Dykes, that you could alleviate some of your troubles because in the city of Greenville, I believe, if they're doing a development, one of the requirements is the developers have to go meet with people within a certain radius before and answer all their questions. And he was like, I do it all the time, and I sit up there and I'm hammered. They're all yelling at us. We give them all the reasons, we show them the map, we do everything we tell them all the ordinances we're meeting and all of that. So then they're aware of what's going on. You guys and the planning commission don't take the brunt of that. And then when it comes to the planning commission, now they have more information. A lot of the time what happens here, they have zero information before the night. So they're just thinking the worst. And if they would have that, so you could make that a requirement for them to meet with the neighborhood prior.
I like that idea.
thank you.
One more thing I'm thinking of, and this would be just something that we can culturally, and I think it could be city staff and all of us too, but there's a lot of businesses and just people having personal and business success in town. And I think we need to encourage more people to come address this and be on YouTube. And we don't get to hear a lot of the good news, but we celebrate the ribbon cuttings and things like that. But I'd like to have more people come, and because any business in town, it's not just them, it's all of us kind of working together. And I would like to see more good news get posted, and the media's here and they can cover that. And I think we can all, if we hear something good, we should encourage people, come do that. Yeah, come talk about that.
Yeah, the good, bad, and the ugly. I think the mayor said that one time, even when the citizens come to, we may not want to hear what they have to say, and may not even agree with what they have to say, but we have to learn to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then hopefully we can take the bad and the ugly and try to get some good out of it, but we have to, because no matter what you do, it's always going to be someone that's not going to particularly like what it is that you did and why you did it. And you can explain it to them, but at least you put it out there and they know it, and the majority of the people then could say, okay, I got this information. And that's what I just think is so important, is that packet gets put out, and that gives the citizens the opportunity, whether they want to come and speak on that, whether they want to come and hear firsthand information. I think that is so important, getting that firsthand information, then somebody telling them a couple of days later, and then they adding stuff to it or taking stuff and they not getting the whole truth. And then it blows up on Facebook, on Clinton Talk. With the acreage of land, it was just blowing up. But transparency to me is so important. Thank you so much.
I'd like to say, because I don't think I've opened my mouth the whole night.
Can we just keep
But
it
I
that
think
way?
I think one of we call this our strategic plan. And I think one of our best and first important strategies is to create a Team Clinton. And Joey and his staff need to know that they have the support of this Team Clinton philosophy. I think that's very important, because we've got a great town here in Clinton, South Carolina. And I know you've heard of the possibilities that are in the realm of happening. I just find that to be phenomenal, that we stand at the cusp of what may be taking place. So, Team Clinton, we need to show the spirit so that we can have dialogue back and forth. And although we're not all going to agree, but we're for the same cause, and that is to betterment of this city and the citizens' lives. And we've got a lot to offer, and it scares me because I don't want to just see development come in here and be a military barracks. I don't like that. I want things with vision and value. You can ride up and down the highway all day long and you can see military bases that some people call a development. I don't like it. And I think if we accept that, then we're allowing ourselves to take a second seat. So I think first and foremost, Joy, you need to feel the support of this council right here so that you can do what you're doing tonight, which is good. Okay, so Team Clinton needs to be alive and well. And Susan, you definitely going to be a part of that Team Clinton. But we need to hear it from the fire department, the police department, all of our utility department. Clinton's a great place. But we just can't sit here and talk about it. We got to make it happen. Take pride in this place. Don't accept some things. When somebody comes knocking at the door, just don't accept it. Because you got areas like Spartanburg and Greenville, they're doing some really nice things up there. And I think Clinton is just as important to go in that direction. Thank you.
That's
Gary.
good,
That was good.
Gary. That is really good, not to just accept anything just because everything is not good. We don't want to be a city that's having a bunch of empty houses either. Empty rooftop will not bring developers, will not bring, I did research, empty rooftop will not bring we have to say, okay, we got enough in this area, we need to work on this area. It's good to have rooftops and stuff, but I think we got enough rooftop right now. We need to be working on something else. It's not always good to just catch a bone just because someone throw it. Sometimes you need to throw that bone back.
Catherine, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank y'all so much for
Thank
having
you
me.
We're
very
getting
much.
the new slogan, Team Clinton. Not getting a tattoo.
I just want to say wow,
I get that too, I tell you that right now. Now, if you're gonna get a sticker,
giving us tonight, work towards,
you can get
and
one of those stickers and put it on here.
we'll be looking forward to working with you on some of this.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you very
much. We appreciate it.
Both of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, wow, we've known we've got a lot to work on. And I think between Susan and Catherine tonight, that has been brought to the forefront. And we've known that communication is an issue. And I've been trying to preach that over the last 7 months, and we've made some strides in the way we communicate, but we still have a way to go, and we need to get that message across. And so I'm dedicated to working towards that, and we will get our staff dedicated to doing that. And one of the reasons that we named Danya PIO, that she can help us get this message out also. So give us a little time and we'll get it done, and we'll put it all in a nice document for you to see and explain what we're doing and how we're doing it and when we expect to get those things set forward.
Have we had a designated as their sole job PIO? in the
No.
So I think
No.
that's great. I think that's been a fantastic
And still,
move.
Danya is not 100% PIO.
Okay.
She still has a job within the fire department. And
Oh, so we just heaped more on to Miss
we just
Langston.
added-
I
yeah,
see
we
you.
just- we
I
just
see you,
added to
Danya.
her. But she's great. at
Yes.
What she does, and within the fire department and in this position.
Well, I think it's important to start allocating it as a designated position, and it may grow into something that we see is needed full-time. That what we have just said is that you need, this is, you know, there's a reason why, even not so famous people have multiple people working their social media,
Right.
you know, that's
Well,
a thing.
that's, you know, that's one reason that, you know, we need to be able to raise more revenue, because people like Danya are spread thin. We have too many
Absolutely.
people across our employees that wear multiple hats. And we do the best we can, and I know Danya is gonna do the best she can to get the word out, get the word spread. But like I say, she's also got a job within the fire department, and, so we, you know, we have to do the best we can with what we've got right now. And that's part of this plan, is to be able to get those things brought to the forefront and make headway on being what Clinton needs to be. So, the next thing that I've got up on the slide is a downtown master plan. We've talked about doing that. I applied for a grant through the Municipal Association. Unfortunately, we did not receive that this year, because they had a lot of grants that were applied for. So, and they only had a very few that they could hand out. So, Jim being the Main Street coordinator for us, and for, Jim doesn't work for the city, he works for Main Street. He is the Main Street person for downtown Clinton. But Jim and I have had some very pointed conversations about what we needed to do to move downtown forward. So I've gotten Jim here tonight to speak to us about that. And so we'll listen to Jim, and then any questions you have, please voice them. Thank you.
Hopefully, I won't take too long to do it, but I will piggyback on a couple of points that have been made up here. One, you'll be happy to know I have paper handouts that are coming. So you can take this home, but I'm not giving them to you till I'm done, because I don't want you skipping ahead to the end to see where I go. One of the things that I know a lot of you, you know, I've met you, but in terms of knowing what my background is, sort of, I'm standing here kind of consulting with you on downtown, but what's my background? It's not in city planning, it's not in event planning, I'm out of my league, it's not in social media or anything like that. I have been in the economic development world as an entrepreneur. I've been in the business ownership world, and over the last 25 years, in today's real estate dollars, if I totaled up the transactions that I personally have done, buying, renovating, flipping, selling, managing, all sorts of real property, it'd be somewhere between $30–35 million worth in today's dollars. I've done it in multiple states and a lot of different cities. And so I'm not a big institutional guy, but that's the world I've been in. So when I start talking real property and cities and that kind of stuff, like I said, that's what I've been doing. It's what gets me jazzed up. All right, for Clinton downtown, I've got, let's see, so we're started now on my slide. Okay, so for main points, one, I'm gonna do sort of what could have been, what is, and what could be. If you don't mind, I'm gonna turn this so I know where I'm at, a little easier with that. All right, so what could have been? Go ahead. All right, and thankfully this is not the case. This is one of those good stories that needs to be told a lot more, that you all should be very proud of. All right, this thankfully is not. Hit the next one. Close your eyes for a minute and think about what downtown Clinton would look like if the Musgrove Street rubble had not been, that issue had not been resolved and that cleaned up, just take a second to think about what downtown Clinton would look like today if that hadn't happened. I'll help you picture that here in a second. All right, go ahead. Businesses that would not be in downtown Clinton today if the Musgrove Street cleanup had not happened. You wouldn't have the House of Pizza, you wouldn't have Hoyt Hanby, you wouldn't have the Musgrove Market. Go through that list. There's at least 9 there, and there's 2 or 3 more that would be on the probably not there list. Today, if that hadn't happened and been cleaned up and that mess fixed, this town would look a lot more like a ghost town. It really would, if you picture downtown without any of those things here. And that's much more the norm for what happens with a disaster like that 15 to 18 months later, there's still a physical mess, there's a financial mess, and there's a legal mess. And we were headed for all 3 of those things. We had the physical mess sitting there. But city leadership, the city leadership made the decision. None of the private entities could fix that mess. 6 different owners and insurance companies. The city decided we were not going to let that happen. You decided that, the leaders did, and didn't let it happen. And because of that, we don't have to imagine what could have been. We get to work on what is and what could be. But that is something, again, go ahead, the next one. So you just mentioned the good, the bad, the ugly. I did not change my slide after hearing that. It was already in there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, so go ahead. The good. All right, there are folks that stood at this podium last year and ripped into you guys because, you know, you bought fire burn lots and decided to clean up that mess over there. Well, I was part of that. I know firsthand, because I was a part of those conversations, exactly what that cost. And the cost of that cleanup, I have no idea what the future's gonna hold on Musgrove Street. It's gonna cost a lot more than $100,000 to make it something new. But to get it resolved and get most of that ownership stuff done and get it cleaned up, the net cost to the city, and I'm gonna lump the CEDC and the city kind of in one bucket there. I know it's 2 different things, but I'm gonna lump you into one bucket. The cost of that cleanup was under $100,000, the net cost of it. The private investment response to that, you think of those, think of House of Pizza, buying the building from PC, renovating that building, Hoyt Hanby, renovating, all of those things that unlocked. The private investment response to that is at least $1.3 million. So in the economic development world, you got, the city got a return at least 13 to 1, which again, in that economic development world is pretty darn good. And for folks to understand what this town could have looked like had that not happened, to where we are now, the property values that have gone up instead of down, there's all the ways that impacts daily life in this town, knowing those businesses are here. Anyway, that's a great story, and this town should be proud of it. Our business owners stepped up, the city leadership stepped up. I just can't say that enough. It's a great story where we didn't end up where most people go, and I'm proud of that, and you should be. All right. Again, that's just the businesses that spent money in response to that. All right, go ahead. I got a few pictures here. Well, the handout I'm going to give you doesn't include my nice pictures, but you all know this. Hoyt Hanby with their new structure. You've got, go ahead, Musgrove Market over there. Go ahead. You've got Aspen and Figs and the art gallery there. Okay, so that's the good. So I went through the good pretty quick so I can get to the bad. All right, currently in historic downtown Clinton, what you think of as the historic buildings that make up downtown, north of the railroad tracks, all right, so this side of the railroad tracks, there's approximately 75 storefronts. 31 of them are occupied, 44 are vacant. That's a vacancy rate of 59%. a little over 2 years ago, I did all of downtown when I was first getting started with the merchant group and coming into this role. I did all of downtown, including over where the lumberyard and the other sides, with everything you would picture. That, at that time, was around 99 storefronts. 59 of them were vacant. It's a 60% vacancy rate. It's been that way for the last few years. It's been that way for quite a while before that. All right, so, and there's just no way to really sugarcoat a 60% vacancy rate. It's not, it's the bad. All right, go ahead. Okay, so the ugly, you get spared this because of technical difficulties getting this. So I'll just verbally, it was going to be a video that would be life-changing for you, but you just have to imagine it. All right, so if you are visiting Clinton, you're either coming through on Carolina Avenue or Broad Street. That's your two main thoroughfares. Carolina's the busiest one. If you're on Carolina Avenue and you look and you go, oh, there's a town over there. Let me check this out as I drive past on Carolina Avenue. What do you see? If you're driving along there, basically from Pitt's Music Studio up to the far end of the industrial supply complex up there, you see 32 storefronts. 21 of them are vacant, 4 of them look modern and updated. Go ahead. If you come in on Broad Street, keep going. All right, make it go in the bottom left corner. Like I said, my video created, there we go. There we go. There we go. Well, you pass Buddy Copeland there, and he's got the nice plywood on his space. There we go. Next one. Then you come to L&L with their wonderful awning. Come to the next one. Then you get Foggy's Barber Shop, which is caving in, and there are holes in the ceiling, and it should be condemned. Keep going. Then you get to our 109, which the CED/city, again, I'm lumping y'all in the same bucket, owns that one. That's our wonderful building with the hole and the plywood, which is partly come down. Keep going. Then you get our vacant lot, and you get the back side of 100-102, the corner, the building on the corner. Keep going. Then you get Wall Street, which is in behind that. That actually looks a lot better than it did a few months ago because they did some cleanup back there, but you still got those vacant structures. Keep going. Okay. If I had to summarize the challenges facing downtown, and if you're going strategic plan-wise, whatever we do towards downtown, it needs to hit on at least one of these areas, and it gets better and better if it hits on multiple of them. Right? But the 4 challenges are our downtown, if you're honest, it's not attractive right now. It has the potential to be extremely attractive. Our downtown can be cute. Our downtown is a diamond in the rough, but right now it's rough. These are things that can be done. Some of my bullet points here are ways that these could be addressed in some ways. And a lot of these don't cost a whole lot. One of the things Main Street did this past year was we painted about between 40 and 50 of the light poles. Just shiny black coat paint on light poles. Paint does an awful lot, and it's cheap. But working on things that make our downtown more attractive. It's not perceived. You talked about perception. Okay, it is not perceived as safe, and that's because we've got rundown buildings, some structurally compromised buildings. There are crosswalks and street design, and this last one, a lack of places that was actually designed for human beings, not designed for cars, but designed for human beings. And some of the things involved there, some code enforcement, the Safe Streets folks, placemaking, one of the things we'll get to in a minute, and a road diet for our downtown. There's a couple spots where we could really use that. Our downtown is not intuitive. In other words, if you're a visitor to our downtown, it doesn't have a natural flow flow to it, because the way our streets are, and again, we are blessed that we don't just have one road going through town and that's it. But the curse of that is we don't just have one road where you see everything. You have to know how to get around to actually know. We had billboards on the interstate not long ago that advertised a couple of things that if you didn't know how to find them, you'd drive through Clinton and be halfway to Newberry and go, well, where was that? So it's working on things that make our downtown more intuitive. Could be wayfinding, parking signage, business director map. There's things, again, that could help there. And lastly, this is a big one that I want to hit on, sort of where I'm going with this. It's not affordable. And by that, I don't mean that our price per square foot is really expensive. It's not. The reason it's not affordable is because fully, basically 50%, it's 48% national average, businesses that occupy small downtowns like ours, they're sole proprietorships or one-man shops. 75% of the businesses in these towns have 5 or fewer total employees, part-time, 5 or fewer total. Older architecture, of which most of our downtown is not conducive to smaller spaces. It was all built, every one of these spaces is 22 to 2,800 square feet. They are way too big for a one-man shop, small business owner. You look at the businesses that have successfully come into Clinton over the last few years. Think about Crave, think about Bohemian, you've got Southern District, there's a Clinton Art Gallery, Main Street, Aspen and Figs. You could go, you can even link this to Musgrove Market and Broad Street Antiques. All of them share something in common. They're either a small space to start with, or they are a group of people that have come together to make a big space work, because the big space was too big for any of them individually. For Clinton to be able to attract the small business people that fill up towns like this with vibrant little shops and cute things, for us to attract that, we've got to do something to get these smaller spaces. We've got to renovate and creatively combine. We can't compete for that because we don't have anything to offer them, unless you get creative, and some people have, but that's what it's taken, right? So that's my challenges for downtown. Why do we have a 60% vacancy rate? It's those 4 things, all right? Go ahead. All right, so here's my what could be. Go ahead. I have dubbed this is my opportunity zone for Clinton. That's the wrong word because that's a technical thing, but it's my development zone, which is West Main, North Broad, Pitts, Wall Street, come back here to this 2 blocks right here. If you have a good college quarterback, they can stand right there on that dirt pit and throw a football. And pretty much that 2 blocks and the things that are contiguous to it, right there, that's your bullseye. If you want to go, where do we need to focus our attention? I would say here. And the reason for that, let me walk you through it. Go ahead, hit the next one. This is a slight aside. Sorry to do this to you, but can you back me up? Okay. This mess down here, all of this asphalt down here, West Main, Broad Street, how all this configures around this down here, it's awful. All right, there's no other word for it, it's awful. It's so bad that I just want you to know, Main Street and the Safe Streets guys and some other citizens got together and came up with a redesign for some of these streets down here. And I'm saying this because, flip to the next slide now. This slide was generated by AI. And what Amelia, who's helping me, because I don't know how to do any of that, Amelia has been helping me figure out how to do it. And she simply said, she took the previous photo, Google Map photo, and told AI, just clean it up by getting rid of the building names and just give us streets and the picture of the buildings. So that's what AI did, that's what generated this. But even AI
Didn't like that.
could not deal with what was down here. AI, we didn't tell it to do that. Amelia didn't, I looked at it for 2 seconds and went, oh my gosh, that's the funniest thing. Because AI could not make sense of this down here and redesigned it. And just so you know, for a future conversation, the way that AI redesigned this is very close to the same way that the Safe Streets guys and Main Street and the citizens redesigned this. Just, it's another conversation, but I just couldn't help but
Some
share
of our
that.
children need jobs, Jim. Some of,
I'm just saying, the actual reconfiguring, AI can't do that, but it was just funny to me that AI did something it wasn't asked to do because it couldn't make sense of what was going on down there. So, okay, all right, bump the next one. I come back to, this is my 2 blocks here, and the reason it's my 2 blocks you should focus on, all right, the industrial supply project. You guys know about this project. It's been sitting there. It's been on hold. Basically, plans are there. It's been waiting to go. We've been hoping it's going to go. It's about $6 million worth of economic development. All of these numbers are arranged. Again, I've been in this world, so you could do some less, some more. This is a gauge, an educated gauge of where these numbers are. $6 million for industrial supply. The next one. Scoops and Wall Street, right here, this building that Scoops was in. Part of it fronts on Wall Street and needs extensive repairs back there. The owner of that building is not going to do it as long as Wall Street and this plaza looks like it does. But that's 250 grand just waiting to be spent to get that building looking nice. He's just waiting for all this to get made better. Next one. Main Street Bake Shop. That one is sitting there. The cost of the building and the renovations to it, that's another 450 grand worth of economic development, just waiting to happen. 100, 102, the city owns that. That's the corner building. I had multiple conversations with multiple developers looking at that. And again, you could do it cheaper, you could spend more, but about $3 million to develop that corner. Right? Again, folks are currently looking at that. Go ahead. If you come directly across the street, the Homes of Hope folks, there, the buildings that Crave and the other folks are in, there's 2 buildings side by side that are currently on the market for about $1.15 million. They've been on the market for a long time. They haven't been able to sell, and they haven't been able to put somebody in that downstairs space because it's too big. The single user can't use it, but it's sitting there waiting to go. L&L, they're closing. So that building is for sale. If, again, you just apply the same principle, what it take to buy the building, probable renovations to it, and you're going to end up around a couple $1 million on L&L. Keep going. Foggy's probably $250 to redo it, fix the structural problems that are wrong with it. Buddy Copeland, that building is for sale. That's another $1 million between selling it and fixing it up. Keep going. 111 North Broad. That building, the owner of that building cannot fix it up until 109 North Broad gets fixed up because structurally they share a wall and there's a hole in that wall. Not the hole that 109 has out here, but there's a hole back there. And there's no reason to spend money to fix it as long as 109 is in danger of collapse. So that building is just sitting there. Keep going. The Wall Street shops, those 3 bays. Joey's got plans from the owner of those shops there to fix those up, to renovate, fix those up. The owner of the apartment up here would do the same thing if Wall Street got fixed up. They're just sitting, waiting. Keep going. Overstock, it's for sale over here. So just apply the same math. Buy it, renovate it, put something in it, 900 grand. All right, and lastly, all right, the street, the actual Wall Street and the plaza. Again, I'm just pulling out 350, you could spend less, you could spend more depending on what you do to it. The city already owns 109, Wall Street, this plaza, and 100, 102. The city owns this right now. And if you look, the reason I said this is where you ought to focus is if you put a bullseye on all of this, it's right there. That's why I said if you got a decent quarterback, he can stand here and hit all this stuff. And no, just like Musgrove, Just like Musgrove was sitting there and nobody could do anything till somebody led, nobody is leading over here because nobody wants to be the guy that jumps in and starts and spends this money while the rest of the people sit here. So the challenge, the opportunity that I think the city has, if you total each of those up, keep going, is $17 million sitting right around that 2 blocks. Either the plans are already done, it's currently for sale, it's just waiting to happen. 17 million. Last one. The opportunity. I think the opportunity for the city, just like it existed on Musgrove, you spent $100,000 and you got 1.3 investment in return. How does the CEDC take some of the proceeds of sales that you have had on these developments that have come in? How do you leverage spending? You're gonna have to spend some, how do you leverage spending some money in that section in order to unlock, how do you spend $1 million to unlock 16 million? And that transforms this town. Again, that's the funnel that I would say that's where you start. Again, I do, from a Main Street perspective, I do events downtown, do a number of other things. That's where I have my passion. Again, that's where I feel like I live in that world, and I think there's a great opportunity there. So I know I threw out a ton of stuff, but questions?
Jim and I talked extensively about this very presentation about a week and a half ago. And if you look at it from our perspective, because I agree with Jim on the area that needs to be targeted, and that is the 109 North Broad Street building. It can lead to the way we talked about it. You go into the side out to the open yard there, and you make 3 or 4 little shops coming out of 109. That the very people that are, one-man owners or have 3 to 5 employees working there, that would be the spaces that they could occupy and hopefully occupy, and then it would create a domino effect with the other buildings that Jim has shown. So I think it's, from my perspective, that is our master plan moving forward with this strategic plan for downtown. Now, of course, we've got to come up with the capital to make that happen. But there again, that gives us a target to work toward in our strategic plan. And I think the dominoes will fall in the right direction.
And I'm sorry, maybe I was making an assumption that some of you have actually seen that plan, and maybe that's not the case. But 109, one of the things that we had talked about is 109 is one of those 2,500 square foot bays coming off Broad Street. The wall to the side is what's falling down and has the big hole in it. So to fix it, you have to fix that wall anyway. So our idea was, rather than fix it as another 2,500 square foot bay coming off Broad Street, create a nice plaza there that is the human placemaking spot. Create that as a plaza, and then create 4 storefronts, 4 600 square foot storefronts off that plaza going into that 109 space. The Wall Street spaces I showed you, they're about 600 square feet now. They're perfect. They just need to be renovated. That would provide the spaces so that our small business people wouldn't be staring at $2,000 a month like they are at 103 East Main, the space that's really nice, that's been sitting there, but they can't afford it. they would have rent more like what Crave's got and the Bohemians got in spaces there off that plaza. And we would have a place where people, if you get lunch at Wilson's or you get Crave across the street, something, you could sit in a plaza area, a nice a people gathering spot there at the plaza is what we've, talked about trying to make in that section. I'm sorry, I didn't want to assume that y'all had seen it.
Have we had, potential, buyers to even say, they want to, I think, what was it, Presbyterian that had, for business owners?
The
they was-
incubator.
Oh,
Yeah.
Refreshing.
Pardon me?
the freshen.
No, I think,
No,
the incubator that,
Yeah, so have we had,
Freshen.
business owners that have, have a potential, because you're saying, okay, if the city did this and made these buildings smaller, it can still be a possibility that you just got empty buildings. Once again, you got empty smaller buildings versus empty bigger buildings. So have we had people that,
Part of the reason why you don't have anybody buying anything or doing anything right now, the reason why 100, 102 is not sold yet, is because Clinton, the downtown, is seen as a pretty risky investment right now. 60% vacancy, your ability to rent it, you got to assign risk. So everybody looking at that is requiring a double-digit rate of return. So if you need to make 12, 13% on your money in order to justify that risk, then the rental rates you would have to get, Clinton will not come close to that. So it doesn't work, which is why none of it's happened. If you go to other areas that have, if you go over to Woodruff, or you go over, I don't want to Anderson, Windruff, those would be really low, but you can deal with 6 to 7% cap rates in those markets. Our cap rate's gonna be close to double that to come into downtown and take that risk. That's in place, I just had that conversation this week with an investor, to buy it. So it's somebody has to go. And I think you won't get your money back out of it immediately. But as these other exciting things happen and things are coming and people are coming in, you look at a 3 to 5 year time frame, that's when you would be able to turn around. And if you did this, developed it, rented it at today's rental rates, you'd probably be able to turn around and sell it 3 to 5 years from now and get your money back. Or simply look at it and go, if we do this and create a place that Clinton likes to be, part of what you have to understand is there are very few people in downtown right now making a living. Most of the businesses downtown are hobbies. There's not enough foot traffic in downtown Clinton to make a living with a business. Just isn't. It's one of the things that in this building and this, the more you support downtown, the more you come downtown, it means something. Every business owner down there knows who walks in their store and buys stuff. I promise you, they all know. And so given that environment where we get more people downtown, even if you do something and don't fully get all your money back, if you create a space that brings PC students down, that type of plaza with an ice cream shop and other places, you get a place that starts bringing more people downtown, people can come closer to making a living with their shop and not have it just be a hobby. And then that's when those vacancy rates will start dropping. But it's kind of, we're playing that game of chicken with who goes first.
Yeah.
yeah, I think, when you mentioned Woodruff, because I think Woodruff had did a lot with their empty buildings that they have, put in, something that's really, I think I showed you pictures of what Woodruff did with some of their spaces in between buildings. That will bring people to downtown to have, because we do have some places for people to come. But if we had that area that Woodruff have downtown, having an outside canopy area, I was just amazed when I went down and I just got out of my car and just walked through Woodruff. And it is very beautiful that they have good, nice sitting area. And if we could do some of that, that would bring some of the people downtown, and then that would bring the people to go into the shops that we already have.
Right. This plaza, the dirt pad that I showed you, that is exactly what Woodruff has done. Lots of cities have done this, you know. That would be a beautiful little plaza. It's a great size. It's not so big that it's this cavernous opening, but it would be a beautiful little plaza area. It's right in the heart of things, so you get, again, I would envision you're gonna get an ice cream shop. You're gonna get other small shops that folks could filter out into here. And folks, you know, if you do that well, like what they did over there, that would be again, when you hear the word placemaking, that's what they're talking about in a spot like that. And I think the best marketing, eventually, the best marketing that you could come up with for Musgrove Street over here is doing something over here. I think it's gonna cost you a fourth as much to do something here as it will over here. And if you get this going well and you start unlocking some of these doors, then your phone will be ringing up for people wanting to do something here instead of having to beg them to come.
One thing we are gonna have to realize that though is that what Woodruff and Fountain Inn, who also has a fantastic, is lots of new housing. Because I mean, I don't know, I'm at MS Bailey 4K in the middle school most of the day, and you know, our kids can't afford shoes at Walmart, so we're gonna have, our demographics are gonna need to change.
They go hand in hand. I mean,
Absolutely.
for downtown to really thrive, we don't need empty rooftops. We do need more. They don't need to be empty. But we do need more, for downtown to thrive. It's just, there is a people and a disposable income equation that, you know, comes into play, and we need that. We need it to be smart, and we need it to be done well, but we do need it.
It definitely need to be done well, and I think right now, if we did a count of how many empty rooftops that we have within the city of Clinton, we got quite a few.
Houses?
Pardon me?
Houses or like commercial buildings?
Houses, that we, you know, that are empty rooftops. Because when you take it as, I don't think any of us in here that own your own house, that you're gonna move out of your house to go buy one of those empty rooftops.
The people that are gonna buy these houses are folks that are gonna come here, you know, that's who bought them so far. Well, I mean, you talking about all those up there on Charlotte's Road, they're full, they've bought every one of them, and they're people that have come in to town, it's not local people that are, and they're beginning to move in these other spots too. So,
I rode through, cause that's part of that is my ward, and there are quite a few empty houses that are still there. Yeah, the rooftops are nice, and it's a good thing, but I think we don't need to just have a whole bunch of them and they're just empty. You know, those townhouses, I thought people would have jumped on those. And they started out at 200,000. They have even dropped them down to high 100,000, and I don't think they have one person in them.
Yeah, they've sold 4.
yeah, they're starting to sell.
They're starting to
That's
sell.
We just talked to them yesterday.
the market across the country has been very slow
Yes,
since
the
this
market
summer.
is bad.
But it's not gonna stay like that.
Hopefully it won't.
How many houses do we have scheduled right now?
I need,
Right off the top of my head, it's probably in the neighborhood of 600 to 700 with what's coming. And, the Dutton Farms property on 56 bought their permits and business licenses today, so they're gonna start.
Is that included in that 600?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They bought those licenses and permits today, so they're starting to grade, in the next few days. They're ready to roll.
Yeah,
So it's, you know, it's hard to, I understand where you're coming from, that you want nice looking developments. But when someone approaches Mr. Dutton and wants to buy his property that's outside the city limits,
Yeah, we understand that we can't
And-
control that. That's
Yeah,
really
and,
up to
you know,
the landowner.
right, and that's what's happened in all of these cases, is they have approached people, they have approached landowners about purchasing their land to build a development on. And, you know, I don't want a bad looking development, no, I don't. It's not conducive to what I feel like Clinton needs to look like. But we cannot turn down whatever a developer wants to bring to Clinton. And, you know, we just need to have more conversations about that and what it means to us revenue-wise, across the board, from taxes to utilities and permits, fees that we receive on all of these developments that are coming.
And I get
And
what you're
every-
saying, Mr. Meadows, with that getting more, but I also look on the flip side of it, is that when you have these empty rooftops, it leaves it doesn't give the, prospective, restaurants or whoever to want to come in, because what they're looking at, okay, yeah, I see 100 houses, but I only see 5 people in these 100 houses. And then also, on the other side, is that it open up a can of worms, and I may not be saying it quite right, but for people to start vandalizing, empty houses, going in and taking the appliances out and stuff. I think Spartanburg went through that, a development that they had a bunch of houses, but then it ended up that they had a lot of people going in, stealing, taking out the refrigerators, the dishwashers, and all that as such. You know, because what is that, Stone
Creek?
Yeah, they have slowed down, is that not correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
Because
as
they're
somebody
not-
that's been in that world, I can tell you that they're gonna build a certain number of homes to get started, to have product available. And if it's not moving, I mean, D.R. Horton out there, I mean, if it's not moving, they won't keep building houses if they're not able to sell them. But I promise you, every single potential family that wants to move in those houses makes a drive through this downtown. Every single one of them drives up Carolina, they come down Broad Street, every single one of them wants to see the town that they're about to move to. And if because I'm focused on downtown, so I can't do a lot on the outside, but I say let the market take care of what's gonna happen out there. But if you want more people in those rooftops, they need to have a better impression when they drive through town, because every one of them does it, and then they go, is that the town I want to move to? And we are a diamond in the rough. We have a ton of potential. It's just being honest about it, that right now it needs help, but we do have a ton of potential. It can be awesome. But these potential residents are all driving through here, making a judgment, you know, in 30 seconds driving through, they're making a judgment as to what they think of Clinton. And on those two paths, it could be better.
So for Main Street, can grants be written for renovation and stuff of downtown? Are there grants available?
There are one of the earlier slides I mentioned, like just the overall, it's not attractive. Well, painting, awnings, those things, facade grants. Those are one of the things that Main Street that I hope, if I'm doing this, if their budget works out, that I will have some money to be able to actually not coming to you guys for more money. I'd love it if you want to give some, but not coming to you for more, but have a little bit, because again, a coat of paint can do wonders and it's not that expensive, but those are less expensive things where grants can come in. You know, a grant's not gonna develop the building, but a grant could come in and do a lot with painting and awnings and other things like that. And the Safe Streets guys with some of the street grant money, there are things that could be applied there because, like I said, that can be another discussion, but there are things that we can do and probably need to do there that would help with safety, with intuitiveness, and with attractiveness, all in the same shot with some streetscape redesign.
So what we need is sorry, I had the word a minute ago, but that's where we are. What we need is a plan of where, how much, where that would be broken down. Or is this just coming to us as this is the potential, start marinating on it?
Yes, ma'am.
For a future plan that will be presented to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
When I complete the document, unless I get different direction from you all, and when we talk about downtown master plan, in our strategic plan, is one of your priorities was a downtown master plan.
Right.
This is where I would focus, and this is where I would
Thank you.
start. Because everything that Jim says makes perfect sense to me, that you clean this up, you get 4 storefronts out of that building, and you have a nice park there. Wall Street develops, which I have seen plans that are ready to go. But they, just like Jim said, they don't want to start until we do something with 109 Musgrove. And so that's, as far as downtown master plan right now, that's my focus, is that area. And we're gonna work to try to find some funds that we can do and put together the plan. And I'll send you that plan via email of what they've come up with for that building.
I think it needs to be our number one priority right now, because if we just have 8,000 people in town, I wouldn't say that, because I'd be saying, well, who can afford to do a business there if it's just going to be a hobby? But even if we don't have households, we're about to have hundreds of thousands of people coming to baseball, and we've got to figure out a way to get them downtown. So I think if we have a chance to make an investment in this and get it started, because it's always a chicken or egg situation, but if we have a chance to get this started and get a place that people drive through and say, hey, I might go back there next time we're in town, we're in a unique position with the number of people we're going to have coming right up the road. But we got to get them this way.
Well, I have a plan. I'm not going to share it tonight, but I have a plan that can get us to the point, I think, that we can spend $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 on this building to get this ball rolling.
That's good news for me, and I would say too, if there's ways we can look to incentivize current business owners to spend some money, because for years they've been looking and saying it's not worth it for me to do anything to my building because I can't rent it out for what it's going to cost me to cover the renovations.
I think when we take the steps to show the business owners that are downtown today, we take the steps to do something with 109, then we can go to them and say, you know, Jim and those have some facade grants.
Mm-hmm.
You put up $10,000 to do the facade on your building. I'm just using this as a figure. Would say $5,000. You put up $5,000 to put up new awnings, paint your building, and we'll match it. But I think, like you said, the chicken and the egg deal, we've got to do this first before we ask them to do something on their buildings.
I think the condition of 109, just the dilapidated, something has to be done there. That's just like I say, that's the low-hanging fruit of something. It's got to be addressed one way, or either tear it down or fix it. And I don't think anybody really wants to tear another one down. But if you're gonna do it, then I think you can start, and I would, you know, from my standpoint, I don't want to see the city spend $750,000 on that building and then have everybody around there just yawn and go. I mean, nobody wants that. So I think bringing some of these guys to the table as we finalize these plans and talking to them, how do we make sure that when we go, you go? And try and get multiples of these things going. So that's, my goal is not just to spend it and then hope. I mean, we can't make people do it. There's gonna be hope involved. But I think getting these people to the table and seeing, I think some of them will go when we go, if we do it right.
Are there
I
ways?
wanna make sure we're talking the same, that building 109, that's on the corner of Broad,
No, ma'am, that's the building downtown with a hole in the wall.
where the dress shop used to be.
Yeah, almost across from Foggy's Barber Shop.
Yeah, where the dress, it used
Where
to
the
be.
blank, the vacant lot is,
Where
the
the
building
Grinch
that's got the
was.
hole in the wall is 109.
Okay, they say have the
Yeah.
hole in the wall,
Yes,
that's where
ma'am.
the dress shop used to be.
Yes,
It used to
Yeah.
be, yeah, it used to be a dress shop, it used to be,
next to the karate.
That,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's this bit, it's the blue one that's got the hole in the wall. It's that building there.
It
Yes.
opens up to the empty lot.
And-
that we
okay,
Yeah.
cause
The
there's,
art gallery and
where
Aspen
the empty
Fish
spot
are
is
right
where
here.
Geraldine, dress shop was.
That's correct.
right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
That was
Yeah, that was
empty-
107.
Okay, that was 107.
109 was where John Harmon had his,
Insurance
insurance
agency,
company for
real
3 years.
estate business.
Are there ways we can incentivize or require developers to make an investment in our downtown?
There are ordinances, like, in terms of the toolkit available to you all. There are lots of towns that have vacant building ordinances that create, what I've asked for in a lot of ways is you need a stick and a carrot in this deal. And a lot of them use the vacant building ordinance as a stick that says if you have a vacant building and it's not currently on the market for sale or on the market for rent, if you're not doing anything with it, then there's a fee that's attached to that. If you're just sitting there vacant with no plans to do anything, it costs you money. And there's all kinds of different ways, but that is something that lots of cities have gone to try and provide a stick. And then there's enforcement of codes like your ripped awnings, there's lots of ways that there are things around town now that are in violation of code that I would love to be able to go to them and go, you can either get fined because you're in violation of this code, you can either spend the $1,000 to fix your awning, or if you put $500 up for it, I'll put $500 in from the facade grant and get you a new awning at half price.
So you're saying we don't have an ordinance in place about vacant buildings and dilapidated buildings? We don't have anything in place,
We've got
with
codes.
the city? Do we not have anything as far as an ordinance?
You have a historic maintenance district, which is an overlay, which is over the historic district, which is a little more special. It says there cannot be a home building. There cannot be a ripped on. There can only be so many signs on your building.
So we just not
We're not
enforcing,
enforcing it,
we're not enforcing what.
but you're not enforcing it on yourself,
That's,
which you should enforce it on yourself first, and then.
yeah, since you all, the good and the bad is, you all own a number of these properties, so you have the ability to fix them, you're in control of it. The bad is, you all own them, so it's hard to point fingers at
Violation.
others if you're not fixing them.
So what about, my question is more like, we have somebody come and says, I want to do 150 apartments or 100 home subdivision. Can we incentivize or require them to make, that developer to make an investment in our downtown, which ultimately helps them sell their houses because we've got a nicer downtown? And even if we can't require it or cost them more money, could we say, you give us this much up front and fix this building up, and we're going to take that off the property taxes you owe for the next however? but we get that money quicker and do something with it. Are there ways we can do that for every developer that comes to town?
Lawyer for that.
I've
I'm
got
not
one.
sure, but I can make some phone calls and ask.
No, we have a standard impact fee now.
Yes, we do.
And what does that go to?
Impact
Fire.
fees.
Go to
Goes
firefighter.
police, fire, and parks.
Okay.
Could we give that a new description? That
Well,
target-
we can't make it, we cannot make that a new description because it's already in ordinance. But if it's legal to do, and I will check with Lawrence Flynn, that we could add another impact fee for, what Danny described and put that towards our downtown. But I will certainly make that phone call.
I think, you know, you've got the counties that are doing these pilot programs to get these industrial folks in, and, I mean, I don't think it's outside the realm. I would think it is within the available toolkit to consider something like that if somebody wants to spend some money downtown, that you do a, reduced property taxes, you do, you know, some of the things that they do on those programs, you could incentivize people come into downtown. I mean, if the gentleman with the baseball fields that wants to bring 3 hotels here, I would highly encourage you, if you could convince him to put one of those hotels downtown, to give him the Musgrove Street, a vacant lot there, and let him do that. That would be a huge home run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
That was a great idea right there, Devin. And that was my thing, like you said, just say you got 100, 102 North Road, I mean, not necessarily house development right there, but like to give somebody another pizza joint or whoever, a burger joint, you know, instead of them starting to build another building, give them incentive to use these empty lots that we have for business versus building another one. Let's use what we have, so they're all not sitting there. Some type of incentive, I don't know, you know, whether the rent, whatever it be, that they're not, you know, give them an incentive to use that building versus starting a new one. I think the little empty lot's a great idea, the little pavilion thing, whatever. But what are we gonna do? Is there any idea for that empty lot beside House of Pizza? I mean, is there any plans as what we're gonna do? Are we
It
just gonna
is
let that
not,
sit there as
it is
eyesore?
not economically viable at the moment. It's not for somebody to say that they're gonna buy that and at today's building cost to try and buy it and do parking underneath and shops at the ground level or something like that. That's not economically viable. The things currently in Clinton that you could borrow money for, that a banker would go, yeah, that could work, typically have more to do with residential side, unless you're an established business, but a retail or downtown sort of shop sort of thing, and the banker's not gonna touch that. But the hotel type stuff, again, that's one where those guys, if you could incentivize them to come, that's a use that I think could financially make sense over there. Whereas redeveloping it into small shops at the moment does not make financial sense. But a user like a hotel could make sense over
So
there.
does the city own that lot next to House of Pizza?
Yes, ma'am.
They own all of that?
The CEDC owns every
Cause I was thinking the
parcel
Vance,
with the exception of Mr. Vance.
that's what I thought, it was, they own all of it.
And my last question, statement, y'all let me.
Mr. Vance will still own his part,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Okay, and that's the one, his is next to House, is it next to House
No,
of Pizza?
his
Is in the middle?
parcel is next to the Hort Handy's.
Yeah, it's on that end. So is it 2 or is it 3?
Of the,
Parcel, yeah, parcel of land.
Mr. Vance has one.
Huh?
Mr. Vance has one parcel. 120 Musgrove was 2 parcels, and then there's 116 and 118.
So it's 4.
There's 4
Okay.
parcels.
But the city don't own all 4 of those, the city
The
just owns
city owns 4 of the 5.
4.
Yeah.
So that empty pavilion there, what about, we just opened this splash pad, so you're gonna do this for the little the tables, whatever, for these little shops? I mean, is there not a place that we, okay, you got the library, you got the splash pad, can we not get like a little park or whatever where the splash pad, like a, you know, a playground right there?
Well,
To go center, that the people's gonna park here, Wilson's, wherever, and take their kids to play.
That is going to happen. We have been in contact with Andy Howard in Lawrence County. They have another shelter that they can construct over there. And I understand there was some talk of, some playground equipment out there. So, yes, that is going to move forward.
We've got a lot to chew on.
Yeah, can we do this in a second?
Information
I
over.
didn't get paid double this month, I didn't get overtime. Gee.
This has been very good, very good conversation and very good information from all of y'all that have been here to present. And we appreciate it very much. Joey, we got you got a lot to look at too, we all do. So I encourage everybody to keep going through this and come up with your ideas and share them. And then I'm sure we will probably get back together.
Yes, yeah, we've got a few more things to cover.
Right.
We've kind of just touched the surface tonight. And, I think some of the things that we have to, move forward with, at a later date are things that we already have in process. One of them was a succession plan. I have a hard time with that word. The succession plan, so that succession plan is pretty much complete. So we've been working on that since that came up, in your wish list from August. So, between that and the website, we've got some other things that we're gonna do. And also, as far as the planning part goes, I am going to put out, an advertisement in the next few days or so to hire a planning director. I think that we just have so much stuff going on in town right now. Phil's doing a great job, but Phil's got other things that he's obligated to do. And I think we need somebody here pretty much full-time to help us with some of these things. And a lot of the things we've talked about tonight can fall in place with a planning director.